on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Uberduck on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Quick Call and Throw on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Top Cat on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Regular Girl on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Agaman on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Secret Squirrel on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Spark on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Slug on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Wacky Races on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Girls of Palo Pit Stop on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Bear and the Slates on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming next, it's Frankenstein Jr. and the Impossible on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Anti-Predator High on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Hong Kong Food on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Josie and the Pussycat on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Dynamite on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Flintstone Kids on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Flintstones on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Jetsons on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Scooby-Doo on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Scooby-Doo Show on Boomerang on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Lee and Scrappy Doo on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Tom and Jerry on the Boomerang from a Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Circus Kid on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Dastardly and Mudley on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Johnny Lewis on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Fanface on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Rocky and Bullwinkle Show on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Gilbert and the Ghost Chasers on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Underneath on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Ren and Stimpy Chef on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Leon House on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Vegetables on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Snupper and Blabber on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Ed and Eddie on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Recursive Rabbit on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Word Girl on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Crazy Deadly on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Gummy Show on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Augie Doggy on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Nate the Little Dinosaur on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Word Up. Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Hope. It's Hope Evans on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Smoking Wolf on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Peter Pan. It's Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's in some way on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Pitsy and Dixie on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Angry Birds Tunes on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Breezely and Neasley on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Wally Gator on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's a big yellow on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Yankee Doodle Duck on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Yogi's Space Race on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Yippee and Danny on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Snacklepuss on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Touch Turtle on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's not like this. Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's the Little Bears on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, serious treasure hunt. On Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Megados on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Pixie and Dixie. Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Vegados on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Venus World on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Wabbit on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Gordon on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Space Jam on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Nancy Brown, Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Big Convention Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Looney Tunes on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Sizzle on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Tom and Jerry Kids on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Help! It's the Hair Bear Bunch and Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Bob the Builder on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Cat in the Hat and Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Vegadales in the House on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Five Nights at Freddy's Plus 2 on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Johnny Bravo on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Doghouse of Horror on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Flintstone Kids on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's The Adventures of Buttman on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Baby Looney Tunes on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Captain Planet on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next is the Angry Beavers on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Spring Break on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Astro Boy on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Book Club on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Five Nights at Freddy's Plus on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Cyber Chess, Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next is Sunset's Backstage Test on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Quite a Roll Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
It's the Parents and Beers on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's a Forgotten Friendship on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Talking Tom and Friends Minis on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Golden Piece on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Wild Kratts on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Funky Painter on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Laurel and Hardy on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Augie Doggy on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Baz and Daffy on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next is Okay Wolf on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Plucky Duck Show, Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Turbo Fast on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Reggie Wrench on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Wonder Wheels on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Stink Little Dinosaur on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Ed, Ed, and Eddie on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Winnie the Cooper Bunch on Boomerang from Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Peebles and Bam Bam on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Roller Coaster and Friendship on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Fantastic Man on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Nexo Nights on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Pokémon on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Steven Universe on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Scrappy and Yappadoo on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Moby Dick and Betty White on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Tasmania on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Jabber Joe and Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next is That's Magic on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Splash and Bubbles on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, Underdog on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Magic on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the funny Wheel of Fred and Booty on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Horse Drive on Boomerang from Cartoon Network.